If RV maintenance feels scary, this video will change that. We'll walk you through how to take control of your RV care with 5 easy DIY tasks anyone can do. Plus, where to find solid RV maintenance guidance and how to vet the information. Finally, stick around for a bonus upgrade you won't want to miss.
Most RV maintenance seems intimidating, but the truth is there's a whole lot of that stuff that you can do on your own.
Today, we're not going to talk about the nitty-gritty of how to do these maintenance items because there are plenty of videos and resources out there. Rather, we're going to talk about how to find those resources and how to vet them to make sure that you're doing it safely.
Then we're going to discuss our top 5 maintenance items, do-it-yourself maintenance items that can save you a lot of heartache and even save you some big bucks.
And finally, as a bonus, we're going to share our #1 DIY upgrade that pretty much anyone can do as long as you have opposable thumbs.
Before we get to our top 5 maintenance items, let's talk about the resources real quick. So first and foremost, you really want to try and see if you can find a video from the manufacturer. They're going to have all of the latest information and all of the right procedures to do all of these things. So if you can find one, go with the manufacturer video.
And if you can't find a manufacturer's video, eTrailer is one of our favorite resources for well-produced quality videos.
Next is the Lippert Now app, because if we're being honest, most of our RVs are mostly made from components made by Lippert. So check out that Lippert Now app. It's got just a ton of resources and a lot of really good how-to videos.
And finally, if you're still struggling to find a quality video or you just want to kind of see it from a different perspective, just do a general YouTube search for whatever it is that you're looking for, and you should be able to find somebody like us who's done a video on water heater maintenance or whatever it is that you're looking to do.
And the biggest advice we can give you on that is just don't trust that first video that you come across.
So really what you're doing is you're looking at a couple of different videos by various YouTubers and you're looking for consistency between them. And then additionally, compare those YouTube videos to the manufacturer's recommendations and make sure that they line up.
And if you find something that just doesn't look or sound right, don't do it. It's that easy. Okay, so now let's move on to our first maintenance item. All right, the first maintenance item we're going to talk about here is water heaters. Now, generally, there are going to be 2 types of water heaters out there. The first is the tank type water heater. It could be an 8-gallon, 12-gallon tank, whatever. And then like we have a tankless water heater. So let's talk about the tank water heaters first. And there are 3 basic maintenance items that we want to do on this. We want to get it drained and flushed. And if it has an anode rod, we want to pull that out and see what that looks like. And then the third thing is just a descaling process. So first of all, drain and flush is really easy. But let's talk about the 2 different types of tank water heaters. So some are going to have an anode rod in it, and that anode rod basically keeps the corrosion to a minimum inside of the tank. And generally, you're going to find those anode rods in your suburban water heaters. And if you've got a Dometic or an Atwood water heater, instead of having an anode rod in there, it's just gonna have a plastic drain plug. Now, that's really important because a lot of people see that plastic drain plug in there and they think they need an anode rod, but you don't. And the reason for that is because the Atwood and Dometic tanks are actually made out of aluminum, so there's really no concern for corrosion in there. So if it's got that plastic drain plug, make sure you put it back in when you're done because it's actually a safety feature of that water heater. Okay, next is checking that anode rod. And when you pull that thing out, you just want to make sure that there's enough of that anode rod left. So what we're looking at here is a brand new anode rod. And then over here, we're looking at an anode rod that needs to be replaced. So the key here is if your anode rod falls between one of these 2, you're still pretty good. And then the last maintenance item on the tanked water heaters is just removing the scale buildup inside. And all you're really going to do with that is just run a vinegar water solution through it for a few minutes and then flush it again to get all of that vinegar out of there. Now let's shift gears and talk about the tankless water heater. This one is even more simple. Really, the only thing we need to do to this thing is at least once a year, we're going to go through that descaling process. So if you look down in the description area of this video, you'll see a couple of links for the water heaters. The first one is for the tank water heaters, and that's from eTrailer. And then the second one is the tankless water heater, and that video is straight from Lippert. Next is air conditioner maintenance. A lot of people are scared of this, and it's super, super easy to do. So there are just a few basic things we're gonna do here. So number 1 is we wanna get it cleaned. And what I'm talking about here is the evaporator and the condenser coil. So this is the condenser coils here. The evaporator coils are on the other side. We're not gonna look at those because I'd have to tear the whole thing apart. But what we wanna do is we just wanna make sure that our coils are nice and clean, because this is a heat transfer area, meaning air flows through these coils, and that's what removes heat from the system. So we just gotta make sure that these things are free of debris and clean, because the more debris you have on here, the less efficient this whole system becomes. So I'm not gonna clean this because you can see mine's actually pretty clean. I just recently cleaned them, but I wanted to show what we use to clean out the coils, both the condenser and the evaporator coils. We use this foaming cleaner by Frost King, and this stuff is super easy to use. You just spray it, cover the entire surface area of the coils, and then you take this little scrub brush on the top and just simply run it along all the coils, getting all of that debris out of there. Now, you can also see that I've got a couple of fins here that have got just a little bit out of whack. So while you're doing this, a lot of times the brush on here will actually straighten some of these fins out. But if you still have some that are bent, you can take like a small putty knife or maybe a pocket knife and straighten these fins back out. But that's super important to do because, again, that helps with the heat transfer process. So that's just the basic cleaning of the coils. And if you're comfortable with it, there are also some electrical checks that we can do on here that will check the status of the compressor to kind of give you an indication if something's going south. So again, we're not really showing how to do all of this today because there are a lot of other videos out there that do that. So again, if you look down in the description area, you'll find a link to Jared from All About RVs, and he goes through the whole process of not only cleaning these air conditioners, but also doing those electrical checks. Again, super easy to do. A lot of people are afraid of it. No reason to be.
All right, so a roof inspection. Pretty much anybody can do a roof inspection if you can get up safely onto your roof. And ideally, you should be doing it at a minimum of once a month, if not every time you move your rig. Really, you're just looking for any areas where water can intrude. So you're looking for holes or cracking in your lamp sealant. You're looking for tears in your Eternabond. On any seals that you have, like where your roof meets your gutter, you're looking at that sealant. Any gaps that you find need to be fixed. In addition to all of your sealant, like your lap seal and Eternabond, you also want to walk the entire roof. You're looking for soft spots. You're looking for places where your roof membrane may have lost its adhesion. And you're also looking for maybe tiny holes where you scraped up against a tree branch or something. All right, so go ahead and check out the link down below from the folks at Dicor on a more detailed, thorough explanation of exactly how to check your roof and reapply missing sealant. All right, now we're going to talk about the traps in your plumbing system. So you're either going to have what's called a P-trap, those are kind of the traditional, or you're going to have a waterless trap. So in our current rig, we have these waterless traps, and they're really easy to get on and off. Even the P-traps are easy to get on and off, but really, like, these are not kind of a routine maintenance issue. So as far as consistency and how often you need to do this, really, it's just as needed. So when you notice that your sink is backing up or you're getting that foul odor, then that just kind of tells you that your traps need a little bit of attention. And really, it's as simple as removing the trap, cleaning it out, and putting it back on. So you'll need to remember that anywhere that you have a sink, shower, whatnot, you're going to have a trap. So for instance, we have one at our kitchen. We have 2 bathroom sinks, so each one of those has a trap. The shower has a trap. And then if you have a washer-dryer unit, you're going to have a trap there as well. And they all are pretty much the same as far as removing them, cleaning them, and putting them back on. We'll go ahead and link. We've got 2 videos down below showing you both a standard P-trap like we had in our 375, and then the waterless traps like we have here.
And then last but not least is wheel bearing maintenance. And this is really where you can save a ton of money on all of this preventive maintenance type stuff on your RV. Now, this is a little bit more complicated than everything that we've talked about, but anybody with just some really basic tools can do this. And this is super important because the last thing you want to do is burn up one of these bearings when you're traveling down the road at 60 or 65 miles an hour. And the general recommendation here is that you want to repack your bearings every 12 months or 12,000 miles whichever comes first. We generally like to do it right around the holidays. There's not a lot going on. That's just what seems to work out with our travel schedule. And again, we'll put a link down below. Now, this is one of our videos that I did, but it'll give you a good idea of that entire process. Now let's talk about that bonus do-it-yourself upgrade that I mentioned earlier. And what I was talking about is one of these soft starters for your air conditioner unit. These are not only super easy to install. I know a lot of people are afraid of doing this on their own, but the reality is that the manufacturer gives you directions on how to do this, and if you just follow them step by step, it's almost foolproof. And these things are going to do two things for you. Number one, it's going to allow you to run one or maybe even two air conditioners when you're on limited electrical power. And then number two, and this is specifically for the Micro Air brand, I don't know about the other brands, but the Micro Air brand says that if your air conditioner is less than 6 years old, then they will actually extend your warranty on that air conditioner by an additional 2 years. So if you're thinking about it, if you've been hemming and hawing about getting one of these soft starters, I wouldn't hesitate, because like I said before, it's really super simple and anybody can do it. And then of course we got a video linked below. Again, it's one of our videos where I kind of walk through step by step how to install one of these soft starters. See what I have to deal with here? I'm ready to close this video out. She's in here stuffing her face. And look, this guy, he's so lazy.
I was about ready to pass out.
Whatever. All right, so again, the whole purpose of this video was to really show you how many of these maintenance items are super simple to do, and there's no reason to be afraid of doing them, as well as showing you the different resources that are out there.
So go ahead and leave us a comment down below if you have any tips or tricks for any of the maintenance items that we mentioned today. And if you previously had a fear of doing a specific maintenance item, whether it was one we mentioned or not, but you faced your fear and did it anyway, let us know how that went for you, how you felt afterwards. And as always, happy camping and stay safe out there.